And,
Yes.
and so that's what I want to encourage everybody out here. Just because something else fails doesn't mean your next thing's going to fail. But it's so easy to get into your own head.
Be the change you want to see. Make a difference by giving your money a purpose, a mission to do good. Welcome to Money with Mission, where we show you how to create passive income so that you have options for how to work and how to live your life while leaving a legacy of positive social impact.
Welcome back to Money with Mission, you guys. This is Felicia, as you know, and today I have with me Lisa Copeland. Lisa comes from a background of selling and investing, and she cares as much about women and women investing as I do. So we've been off screen a little bit, having some conversations, and we are very much aligned, even though we just met. So it's always exciting to meet somebody who's along the same lines. Welcome to the show, Lisa.
Oh gosh, thank you for having me. Yes, we are totally aligned. So I'm excited for this interview.
So exciting. We haven't gotten into any of this stuff, so this is going to be all exciting. How did you get to real estate investing? How did you get to real estate?
Well, yeah, I was in the car business. I was an auto dealer until 2016. I sold my dealership. I had the number one Fiat Alfa Romeo dealership in the nation. And I had a very good friend who used to call on me and sell me training. His name is Grant Cardone. And so I met him back in 2011. And so he used to call on me. He personally would come into my dealership and try to sell me training. And at the same time, he'd always have me hook him up with a real estate agent so that he could go out and look at apartments. And I always thought, well, that's strange. Well, fast forward, I sell my dealership in 2016. I write a couple books. I go on a speaking tour. I do a TV show in Canada with Kevin O'Leary from from Shark Tank my show was called Car Shark, and it was filmed in Toronto. And, and life was great. I was filling up coliseums. Anyways, it was all good until the pandemic hit. And so in March of 2020, I was on stage in Chicago and I was the closing keynote speaker. The meeting planner came to me when I was done speaking and she said, "We need to get you to the airport." And I thought, God, what have I done wrong? Did I say something? Like, what is she in here? I got God didn't like me. And she said, "No, if we don't get you home tonight, most likely you're going to get quarantined.
You have to drive.
In Chicago." And I was like, literally, for what? I mean, I'm from Texas. Like, we weren't even talking about the coronavirus in March. And so as I get to Chicago O'Hare, I get home, everyone's masked and gloved. I get home and my agent calls me over the next few days. We're canceled. We're going to be rescheduled. I mean, it was like, oh my God, like 25 speaking gigs for 2020. Everything gets canceled within 7 days. And I thought, God, what am I going to do? And I thought the only thing I hadn't done, I own a mortgage company. I owned an insurance company, a financial services company, car dealerships. And I thought the only thing I haven't done is have a real estate license. And in Texas, that was an essential job. That meant I didn't have to get locked in the house. I could work all through the pandemic. And for me, it wasn't working as much for the money. It was just not being locked down in my house.
Yeah.
So that's kind of where my real estate journey began, even though I spent many years in the mortgage business prior to business. I started my mortgage company. I owned a lot of investment properties, but I really got the bug in helping people. And I take this story back to my good friend, Grant Cardone. I work with his wife, Elena. I brought her into the business with me. And I was at their house one day and I said, "Grant, when did you get ahead of me? Like, really, you used to call on me. You used to walk into my dealership and want me to buy your goods and services." And he said to me, "The day I got into real estate and you didn't." He said, "You should have left the car business a long time ago like I did." And I was like, wow. And I always listen to people who have greater success than I do. As I was sitting in his $40 million house that they had just bought from Tommy Hilfiger.
Okay.
In Golden Beach. And so that really ignited me to start really ramping up my investing and doing the research, doing the due diligence. I've got another very dear friend who's on my real estate team, but she's very famous. Her name is Sharon Lecter. And she book Rich Dad Poor Dad with Kiyosaki.
Sharon Lecter, yes.
Oh yeah, Exit Rich. She has a new book out that she's doing a book tour for right now for women in investing. She wrote it with World Financial Group.
Okay.
And I was at her house. I got to see the prelim of the book. And so anyways, just all these amazing women that I am so blessed to have them in my universe, to work with them every single day in the real estate industry. And I just decided this would be my new purpose. And the more research I did, and the more that I've realized that there was a $1 million wealth gap between men and women. And in the car business, I had such a battle cry that I was going to help women, minorities, and millennials break through glass ceilings in a male dominated industry. That was my purpose. That's why I woke up in the morning. So I couldn't really get my mind around that in real estate except to make money. And, I made plenty of money in real estate. I was fine. I thought I need a purpose. And so the more research I did, the more things I found out that my purpose is to help women that are like me, over 50 years old, build generational wealth in real estate. So that was a long answer to a short question.
And that was so much juice. So much juice.
Yeah.
So much juice. That was so good. Okay. I'm going to go back before we go forward because you started with a car dealership. Did you grow up in a family of entrepreneurs or how did that happen?
Yeah, I did. My dad was an entrepreneur, so I saw it my whole life growing up. I saw the best of times. I saw the worst of times. So I remember in the 70s, he told me this story later that we had like videotape factories out in Silicon Valley.
Uh-huh.
And my dad told me that in the 70s that he mortgaged everything we had, our house, everything. My mom didn't know it, so that he could keep the factories moving forward and at 18%. Right. So he was a guy that had a lot of guts. He took chances. And most of the time he won with those chances. And so I think I got that from him. I kind of got that fearless, like no guts, no glory. So, one of my biggest no guts, no glories was when I had the opportunity to relaunch Fiat to America. And Fiat, of course, left the first time as Fix It Again, Tony. And so, you have to take a chance sometimes. It's only money. So you can make it again.
You can make it again. That is true. That is the one thing that I want everybody to know. Money is just you can make it all the time. You've had a lot of success. I'm going to go deep, go ugly a little bit. You talked about your dad and taking risks and most of the time winning, which means sometimes you lose.
Oh, yeah.
Sometimes things do not go the way you plan.
1,000,000%.
Talk about one of those.
I had a big one. When I sold the dealership, I was really known in the car business as somebody who was really all over the press, Fox News. I did Mornings with Maria. I did all kinds of stuff as this female car dealer who broke glass ceilings because I didn't marry into it. I was not the daughter of a car dealer, not a wife. I really went out and did it on my own. And so I had all these female consumers from all over the country. I was considered a consumer expert. So when I sold the dealership in 2016, I thought, well, I think women need me to tell them how to buy cars. And so I wrote a book. I had a show on iHeartRadio.
Uh-huh.
Nationally syndicated show called Cars Her Way. Yeah, and then I had all these dealers, like hundreds of dealers that we went out and we certified to be female friendly and this, that, and the other. And I got so much blowback from women. Like, we don't need you to tell us how to buy a car. And I'm like, but you bought cars from me because I would tell you how to buy a car when I was a car dealer. And, because I would always out myself in car dealers. I'm like, here are the tricks. Here's what you do. Here's how you negotiate. Da, 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 da. Use my tricks on me. I'm fine with that, right?
Yeah. Yeah.
I think that you buy a product for its merit. And so anyways, I invested a lot of time and a lot of money, traveled across the country, and it just never took off. I was really surprised because I had a really big platform and microphone. And so I would say that's really the only business I've had that's failed, but it was a big failure. And it was kind of a hurt to me because I felt like my people, the consumer, let me down, but they just didn't like the feeling that they needed to be told how to buy a car. When they were at my dealerships and they'd come in, they would say, we're here because we know you're not going to lie to us. We know you're going to tell us the truth. So, you win some, you lose some. I lost that one big time.
Interestingly, I'd never heard of your show or your platform of how to buy a car. And I would have been...
Didn't last long enough probably for you to hear about it. It hasn't been here.
A lot less. It's a very intimidating experience to me to go in there and buy a car. I just bought one not too long ago and I was still intimidated. And it's just like, anyway. So when that failed and it sounds like a kind of a personal hurt because this is what I thought. And I still think, but the way you were trying to do it just wasn't working. How'd you come back from that? What was your what were your thoughts?
Well, I kind of took a pause. I still had my speaking business. So I speak to Fortune 5s, Fortune 1s, Fortune 2s, Fortune 5s. And usually who hires me is the VP of sales. And I come as a sales expert to help their teams get unstuck. So I still had my speaking business. And I thought, I'm just going to kind of kick back and and just go speak. It was a very lucrative business, or it still is, I guess. And I'll just do that, and that'll be great. And I thought, I'm not going to take any more chances. I'm going to just go with what I know, and I'm going to let somebody else book me, and I'm just going to get on stage, go perform. Then I'm going to come home and the rest, and vacation the rest of the month. So for me to kind of venture out again and go into real estate, and I partnered with HGTV's Tarek Moussa from Block.
Uh-huh.
And that was a bit of a risk for me. I'll tell you, because I thought, God, what if I get into real estate and this fails? What if nobody wants to buy real estate? What if nobody wants to join my team? What if people blah, 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 blah? Like, I just wanted this whole spin on myself. And, I almost didn't do the deal because of fear of failure. And I would have never had a fear of failure if my last project hadn't failed, which is hard to win.
Yeah. Yes.
Thank God I just said, you know what? If it fails, it fails. I tried,
Yes.
And so that's what I want to encourage everybody out here. Just because something else fails doesn't mean your next thing's going to fail. But it's so easy to get into your own head.
Oh, so easy to be in your own head. What do you tell yourself to get you through the fear? What are your words?
Well, so, I speak, and in fact, I go next week and I speak at 10X Ladies with Elena Cardone. And probably the most popular thing I say when I'm on stage, and I really try to live this, is that in the absence of courage, do it scared, right? Like, we all lack courage. I mean, even when I made the commitment to Tarek and I had to go get a real estate license, I had to jump through some hoops. I mean, the whole time I'm like, what if? And I thought, what else am I going to do? I mean, we're in the middle of a freaking pandemic. So what else am I going to do? Like, real estate would be something I could do that I could actually hone my skills during the pandemic. Maybe I sell a house, maybe I don't. Like, nobody would really be watching because they're too worried about other world events. And so I thought, I'm just going to swallow the fear. I'm going to go out there. I'm going to make the announcements. I'm going to, talk to other real estate agents, try to bring them onto our team. I think we've got 1,500 realtors now. And I'm just going to tell my story, and hopefully it'll be enough.
Yeah. So sounds like me. It's like, I go to, what's the worst thing that can happen here? Okay.
Right.
And I've already lost all my money once. So what's the worst thing that can happen here?
And that's just it, right? So in the absence of courage, do it scared. And my dad used to say, hey, kid, do whatever you can do and don't be afraid. As long as they don't take away your birthday. I always think about that. Like, what's the worst thing that could happen?
The worst thing that could happen?
Yeah, I mean, people are going to talk about it for 5 minutes. Yeah, probably. That's only because they got nothing else to talk about. But then something will happen, and then that attention will come off of you, and they'll be on to the next thing.
The other thing about the courage part is courage is not the absence of fear. It's just walking and going right through that thing. It's like, still scared.
Just acknowledging the fact, like, I am scared, whatless, right? I'm just going to do it.
Just doing it.
Just do it. Yeah.
Did you know Grant and his wife before? You knew them from childhood, it sounds like, or a long time ago anyway?
No, I did not. I knew Grant. I've known Grant for about 12 years. I knew him from when I was in the car business, because he was in the car business then.
Oh, got it.
Right. Yeah. And then, no, I did not meet Elena until 2020. And so I tell Grant all the time, I'm like, where have you kept her from me? She is amazing. Yeah.
I always love it when I meet a lot of guys, and then I love it when I meet their wives or their partners, and like, oh, now I see why you're such a good person. Because that person's back, that person is there with you. Got it. Yes. I love it too. Yeah. So now you're doing real estate. I see the sign behind you. For those who are just listening to this, think like a boss. You are an EXP Realty. Is that the right way that you say that?
Yep.
And you're building a team. How does your team and your folks help with, you do residential real estate, commercial real estate, or all of it? And you work with home, like, I'm going to live in this house buyer. What do you call that? Retail buyer?
Yeah. I work with retail buyers, but really who I work with mostly is investors.
Gotcha. Okay.
And then I work with syndicates, looking to identify assets for syndicates. I have a syndicate that I prefer multifamily, warehouse, build to suit, 30-year land, so that we actually bring in like a national tenant, but then we own the dirt underneath, and then they lease it from us. And so, all different kinds. And so it's really great. Like, it just expands your mind. But, you look at every billionaire, every millionaire, and they got rich in real estate. 90% of them built their wealth with real estate. 10% of them inherited it, but I guarantee that even the ones that have inherited it, the majority of the portfolio and the assets
is real estate. So it is about having cash flow from a real estate asset.
Making money. I think you and I talked about it all. You had said, making money while you sleep. That's the only way to build wealth. Otherwise, you're just trading time for money.
Time for dollars. You can't make enough. You just can't.
And then, as life happens, if something happens and you go down, then all of a sudden you lose momentum, you lose your paycheck, you lose your income, and then you start really losing. So, you want assets that pay you in your sleep.
Yes. So then rich dad, poor dad vernacular, the wealthy make money to buy assets so that the assets can then make them money. Middle class or not so wealthy people are buying or going to work to buy doodads or things that depreciate or don't give you money, don't provide income for you. And they will never get wealthy that way. So I have a few friends who are pregnant right now. And I was like, you want your money doing what you did, going out there and reproducing so that you don't have to spend all your time doing surgery, practicing law, doing the things that are just you trading your time. And again, if you go down, if something happens to you, your husband, your wife, whoever, your children, your mother, and you can't work as full as you want to, or you don't want to work as much as you want to, if you have that cash flow coming from something else, you have the option. You also have the option then when you can, I'm telling you, it's a beautiful feeling to be able to tell somebody, look, if you don't need me for this job, just let me know. I can walk away. And I know I'm going to be okay. I'm going to be okay.
That's right. That's right. And so, it's freedom, right? It's freedom. And so I agree with you, whether it is, let's just say, you have an old 401k or you've got some Roth IRAs, turn those into self-directed IRAs and invest them in a syndicate. Find a syndicate, find an asset manager. I had clients tell me, they're like, well, and I tell them that. And they're like, well, I called my wealth manager, I called my stockbroker. They're telling me not to do it. I'm like, of course they're telling you not to do it. Of course they're making people on it.
You do have to slow them down. It's like, wait a minute. Why do you think they're telling you that? Why do you think they're telling you that? Because the money you pull from them, is money they're not making anymore.
Yeah, you just cut their paycheck,
The other thing to remember sometimes is that you're self-directed. You have to know you're self-directed, even your 401k. Those things that you're investing in are not cash flowing you today. Right. Those are things that you can ultimately pull the money out. But if you have a really, really good tax strategist, wealth manager, somebody to help you a lot with that, sometimes pulling the money out of those things. And if you invest it right, invest it in a good thing that's going to help pay the penalty, pay the tax, so that, and then you have this cash flowing asset outside of those things. That's amazing, you guys. It is really a beautiful thing.
And then to your point, sometimes my health savings account, my HSA, so I can put $7,500 a year in there. So I looked up and we had maybe $100,000 in it. So I was able to take that money, redirect it into a self-directed IRA. And I bought a small little house here where I live. I think I paid $120,000 for it, and it kicks off $1,500 a month. So I've got the asset, right? The asset appreciating at about 12% a year, plus it's cash flowing about $1,500 a month. And so I cannot take that money today and put that $1,500 in my bank account because then it becomes a taxable event.
Yeah.
So I put that back into the HSA, and that's the way to grow my HSA, my health savings account. So someday when I need it, for medical, I can take the money tax-free, right? There's a million different strategies.
Yeah.
Million things.
And just getting with the right people that can help you be so creative in how you're building your money is amazing. Lisa, you developed and formed the WOW network. What does WOW stand for?
Women of Worth, Women of Wealth. And so we've been kind of going back and forth on that. So now we have changed that LLC to Women Wire Inc., Women Winning in Real Estate.
Okay.
Because I want women to win. Because a win to you and a win to me may be two different things. $200 a month in cash flow will change somebody's life.
Yep.
$2,000 a month could change somebody's life. $200,000 a month. Right then, at that point, you start building generational wealth. But to your point on some of the younger ones, like if I can just get a young investor making $200 a month, right? $200 a month in cash flow, and putting that back, putting it into something, right? Another asset. And as that asset continues to appreciate, like, you don't need the designer clothes at first. You don't, I mean, all of your, my friends, Brant and Elena, they talk about the fact that any luxury items you buy, you should buy them off of cash flow, not earned
Yep.
income.
Yeah,
And
agree.
income should go into investing. And then,
Yes.
and then what you cash flow, what you make off of the investments, that's the money you live on. That way, you've got this solid base. And when the worst comes, and it will come, it happens to everybody, you've got something there, you have a fortress and you have protected yourself and your family.
I love that. I love that. And one more time, buy the assets, buy your money, your earned income buys assets, your assets buy your luxuries and your fun things.
Well, your cash flow does, right?
Your cash flow, your
so-
cash
so-
flow,
so
your
your-
cash flow from your assets. Yes.
Yeah. Yeah. So your earned income, you're a doctor and you make 100,000 a year, or you're able to put 20,000 a year into an asset, meaning a property. You invest, that asset kicks off a couple $1,000s a month. You live on the 2,000 a month that it kicks off, not on the money. That's the eventual goal is
Yeah.
to totally 100% live off of your cash flow, and then take all your money, your earned income, and buy assets, invest, get into a syndicate like what you've got. Syndicates are great. Syndicates are really good for investors who don't want to be full-time investors. Syndicates will kick off today between 5 and 8%. I mean, that's not even kind of the reality of a syndicate right now. And that's a great return, because your bank account.
Where else you going to, what?
Yeah, because your bank account's only kicking off 4%, right?
At the most.
And yeah, if you're lucky. And if you don't have enough money, you're not even going to earn the 4%. But even at the 5 to 8% that the syndicate kicks off, you're still not outrunning inflation right now.
Yeah.
So, but what'll help you outrun the inflation is if you take that money, put it into an asset that's appreciating at 12 to 15% a year, then now you have outrun inflation.
That's the combination of the thing. Because a lot of people do just look at the cash flows like, well, that's hardly any cash flow. That's not going to get me anywhere.
But
the thing you own,
asset. Yeah.
Yes. Yep. Owning the asset is the thing. The asset,
the main thing.
Your asset-backed investment is the thing. Wall Street investments are paper, and no, that's that.
I pulled all of my money out of stock. The
So
only
did I.
stock I own, and I own quite a bit of it, is EXP because I earn it from the company and then I buy it at a discount. So I own a lot of EXP stock, and it's done well. But other than that, I got out of the stock market 100%. Like, I want my money to be where I can see it. I want to drive past it. I want to say, that's my asset right there. I mean, and I don't need to drive past it in a Lamborghini, right? Because that is a depreciating.
That's a depreciating thing. Yes.
Yeah,
yes.
It's not even an asset, right?
Unless your asset bought your Lamborghini, and then you can say that thing bought my Lamborghini for me.
And
I love it.
I say that kind of tongue in cheek as a former car dealer, and I mean, I drive nice cars, but it isn't all about the car, right?
No.
It's about how many assets I can drive by. Like, that's really, like, I joke about it. I'm like, okay, I want to go to dinner over here because I want to drive by these houses we own. Like, that makes me happy. Not like, oh, hey, I've got, I'm driving around in a Lambo and I've got a 12-carat diamond ring and
And the debt on all those things is eating your life. You can't stop working because you got to keep paying for all the things you have.
You got to pay the man versus the man paying you.
Yes.
So
a lot of our listeners have a lot of school debt, a lot of debt.
Yeah.
Some of the physicians coming out are 6-figure debt.
Right.
And a lot of the women that I talk to think about, I got to pay off this debt. I got to pay off this debt. I got to pay off this debt. And I understand that we hate having it. And it's, we can do good debt, bad debt. We can talk about that all day long and what that is. One of the things I think about is, yes, you got to pay your minimum payment on your debt. And with your other money, we're buying assets to really actually help accelerate that payment on your debt, on your student loan debt, as opposed to it all has to get paid off before I can start investing into something else.
Yeah, no.
I was going to ask, what are your thoughts on that? Because I say it and then I think, I wonder how anybody else thinks about that. Please feel free to disagree with me if you see that differently.
No, I don't disagree with you. I mean, my daughter-in-law is a prime example. She's got a PhD. And so, I don't know, she had maybe $50,000 left when I helped her and my son before they, they're not married yet, so I should say future daughter-in-law. but I helped them, buy a house about a year ago. And she said, "Oh, I just don't think I should buy a house until I pay off my student debt." I go, "The debt's always going to be there. Okay. Just know that, just hit it at whatever amount you can hit it at, and then take the majority of your money and put it into an appreciating asset. Because there would be a day that asset is worth so much money that if you were forced to pay off that debt, you could leverage the asset, you could borrow against it, you could sell it, you could do a lot of things.
Yes.
I'm a believer. You make that minimum payment on that student loan debt, and I think even some of it's been forgiven here lately. So, I just wouldn't get wrapped up in that. I would get wrapped up in the fact that no matter what, get tunnel vision, no matter what, I'm going to take money. I'm going to buy assets. Like, I look at property every single day. Every single day. I don't go physically look at it, but I'm looking at it. And then I run the numbers. Okay, what is the cap rate on this? Like, what do I think? Is this a 12% or 15% appreciation? What kind of rent can I get on this thing? What kind of depreciation? I'm always hitting my CPA. Okay, how can I depreciate this building? How can I depreciate this asset?
Yeah.
Because all of that comes off of your W-2 income, right?
Yep.
And so, I'm always looking every angle to do two things: to cash flow and to beat the government.
Yep. On your that's tax mitigation is the other side of that coin. All of these ways are, and I've said it so many times, you guys are probably tired of hearing me say this. Your biggest expense in your life is taxes.
Thank you. I said all the time.
Spend so much time trying to save a penny and pinch a penny here and pinch a penny there, and never think about working to save on your taxes.
I know, because 28 to 35%, everybody pays, or probably less than 20. I don't even know. But anyway,
it's a lot of money.
And then you turn around and you're paying taxes with your tax money that you get. You're paying sales tax, you're paying franchise tax, you're paying school tax, property tax. It's like, oh my God, throw the tea into the harbor.
Yes.
Real estate is really one of the only things you can do to legally beat the tax man.
And there's so much to it. We can't even go into it all.
Yeah. That's almost for a seminar you and I should do.
Yes.
But
the other thing you talked about, and you talked about, I call my CPA. I talk to them. You have team members to help you understand how to make this thing work best. And that's another thing that a lot of times highly educated people, and I put myself in that because I have to remember that there's people out there that know more than me on a lot of things, tend to want to know it all. I just gave a talk the other day, and a woman was like, "Well, I got to go. I don't have time to go read books and understand all this and do all." Like, that's not how we do it. You get people that know that stuff so that you can call them. You don't have to know everything. You just need to know who to call.
You need a good CPA. Like, that's a big deal. Like, you got to find a good CPA, somebody who understands real estate investing, real estate law.
And not somebody you just talk to once a year. You don't talk to them just once a year. I made that mistake. And now almost every time I'm about to make any kind of financial move, I'm talking to my accountant. How do I do this in the best way? What are all the ramifications of this thing? There's no amount of money that it's just worth it, you guys. Spend the money up for that person, pay them what they're worth, because you're going to save a ton of money and make a lot of money when you do it.
Amen.
I love it. Lisa, thank you so much. How do people reach you?
I think the easiest way to get me is follow me on Instagram, real_Lisa Copeland, and my email, just lisa@lisacopeland.com.
And we'll have that in the show notes for everybody who's off doing something besides sitting here listening and with a pen and paper. What else, Lisa, do you want to share with the listeners? What do you want them to walk away with from this?
You and I talked about it off camera, but it's scary out there. It's a scary world. The economics are a disaster in this country right now. Interest rates are on the rise. Like, it is. It's a jungle. It's the worst I've ever seen in my whole career. And that being said, I don't want to see people frozen in their path. Like, it's really easy to sit on the sidelines and go, okay, well, rates are 8%. Properties are devalued a tad. And that's just because of COVID, right? Like, in COVID, we had a scarcity, and that's scarcity of inventory is what drove the prices up. So now we're seeing a little bit of a leveling out there. And so it's real easy just to sit on the sidelines and say, I'm not going to do anything. And so I just want to tell all of you out there, I say it from stage all the time, in the absence of courage, like, it takes courage, it takes guts, do it scared, go out there and make some moves. Maybe the move you make in 2023 wouldn't be the move you would have made in 2020. Okay. But make a move, Put $5,000 into a syndicate. Stick your toe into the water.
Do something.
Do something. Don't let what's happening on the planet right now stop you from building generational wealth.
Yes. And I just on another podcast talking about their interest rates. It's like, it honestly doesn't matter what the interest rates are. If the numbers make sense and the deal that you're doing is going to make money, it doesn't matter.
Well, and realize this, that the deal's not going to make as much money as it would have 2 years ago. It's just not. Right? It's not going to cash flow. So then you have to start looking at other aspects of the deal, right? There are 3 buckets. You want to look at bucket 1 is cash flow. Bucket number 2 is what is the depreciation on it? Like how much do you depreciate to take off of your taxable income? And then you want to look at what is the potential appreciation of it? Is this a property that will appreciate 8% a year, 10%, 15%, whatever that looks like? So all 3 buckets don't have to hit at one time. Now, back in 2020, they did. And in this last couple of years, disaster. But, they don't have to hit all 3 at one time. So as long as 2 of the 3 hit, it's a good investment. So if it appreciates, which it should, or don't buy it. Yeah. And if the depreciation helps you in a tax status, then even though, you might just be breaking even on. I have one right now I'm buying that I'm losing $100 a month on. But I'm cool with that because I know in a couple of years when the world changes, rates will come down. We'll refinance it. Then cash flow, from what I can figure, will go to about $900 a month. So I'm going to kick back on it now. I'm going to be able to buy the asset for less.
Yeah.
The assets are on sale right now.
Yep.
On the appreciation. So, it's still a win, even though my cash flow is not there because my other 2 buckets are.
And you always think about your exit strategy. So that was a beautiful example right there.
I don't have an exit strategy.
And more, the more of them you have, the better. Yeah. And you can buy negative.
About location. That's your biggest exit strategy is, you want to look at when you pick a place, you want to look at how many jobs are there and how many jobs are coming. And that's all public record. And if you find an asset, especially if you're in the multifamily space and you're looking to buy an asset and there are no jobs coming to that town, don't buy it.
Go there.
Or touch it.
Don't go there at all.
Because chances are that the town will be overbuilt because it probably has enough now to suffice the population. And if there's no population coming, so you always want to look for like a Amazon warehouse, companies that are relocating. So I'm in Central Texas. Everybody's coming to Texas. So I'm in a really good area of job growth. So nothing here scares me.
Yeah.
Tesla's here. All these California companies have moved and come here. So we're in a very high density, very high job growth area. But if I was in Wisconsin, I'm just picking a state that I don't think has a lot of job growth right now, I would be I would pull back a little bit right now with higher interest rates and some other stuff, because I'd say, what is driving the people to come? Why would somebody move to Wisconsin? Because if it's not a job or a top 10 retirement place,
I don't think Wisconsin's a top 10 retirement place.
And I've no disrespect to Wisconsin.
Wisconsin, no, exactly.
Not off the top of my head right now. But anyway, so those are my tips.
Those are cool. Thank you so much.
Okay.
You guys remember, as you could know from this whole conversation, Lisa and I very much believe real estate is the way to build your wealth. It is the way to be able to give back, whether you're buying it and making your money and then giving back, or buying something and improving it so that the people there have a better place to live. However you want to do it, have your impact and live a great life. Thanks a lot, you guys.
You've been listening to Money with Mission. There are projects happening right now where you can have a great financial return while positively affecting the lives of others. To learn more about our opportunities, go to moneywithmission.com.